and welcome to Members on the Mic with the Troy Chamber of Commerce. I'm Tara Thompson-Cusack, President and CEO of the Troy Chamber of Commerce, and I am joined today by my amazing co-host and Vice President of the Chamber, Sheila Denstead.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're going to get a glimpse into some of our companies and some of our members and some of the lessons they've learned along the way. I'd like to first take a moment to thank our presenting sponsor, Tryon Solutions. Stay tuned where you can learn how you can rely on Tryon. So Sheila, I am extremely excited about today's guest. So this is a really big honor for us. So Sheila, why don't you do the grand introduction?
Well, I would love to, because I too am excited, overwhelmed to welcome today the Honorable City of Troy Mayor, Ethan Baker.
Woohoo!
Give me a moment here. I have a couple of pages to read about him.
But he's super important, so
yes.
A couple of pages matter. So
yeah,
I get it.
Absolutely. Mayor Baker was elected in November 2019 and initially elected to City Council in 2015. Ethan has been dedicated public servant, committed to a robust and growing business environment, along with safe and community-centered neighborhoods for individuals and families. Ethan is a Troy attorney specializing in elder law, estate planning, business law, and real estate. He also serves as the U.S. Commissioner for the Great Lakes Fishery Commission, which I just learned reading this, established in 1955 by the Canadian-U.S. Convention on Great Lakes Fishery, and a volunteer for the Michigan World War II Legacy Memorial. He was a special assistant to President and Mrs. Ronald Reagan in their post-presidential office. For the last 10 years and running, he has served as the board president of the Hills of Charnwood. He was a 2016 Oakland County Executive Elite 40 Under 40 Award recipient and elected precinct delegate for Troy's 6th precinct.
Hard words.
Yes, especially 2 in a row.
Right.
Ethan received his bachelor's in political science from the University of Southern California and a Juris Doctorate from Whittier College School of Law, graduating magna cum laude, and a Master of Public Affairs from the University of Michigan, Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy. That's what happens when you have to read 2 pages.
Yeah. I mean, he's not an overachiever at all.
Not in the least. Mayor Baker, welcome.
Thanks, Sheila. Thanks, Tara. I'm really happy to be here always. I think you stumbled over the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy because it's in Michigan, and I know you're a state girl, so maybe that was the problem.
Go Blue.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Purposeful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we love working with you, but as Sheila read through a lot of your bio, one thing that always stands out, and I'm sure you're probably sick of the question, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what it's like to work for Ronald Reagan, our president and first lady? That's a huge, awesome thing to be doing.
Well, it was. I got to be honest. It's like, first of all, it's very humbling to hear your bio read by anybody, but it's a little bit much to me. Honestly, but working for President Mrs. Reagan, I can't express this enough how impactful it was on my life. It was years ago. The president died in 2004. But I worked for the President, Mrs. Reagan, their last 4.5 years of the president's life. So I was an intern. I started out in the office of Ronald Reagan for my last semester of college at USC. And then when I graduated, they hired me and said, hey, Ethan, we really like you. We want you to be here with us every day. And so I worked for them while I went to law school at night. And 20 years later, I realized the value of what I really learned from them. And I didn't honestly get it at the time. At the time, I was younger, and you don't really realize what you're going through. But yeah, I was with the former president of the United States who was quite popular.
You think?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when we look at how things are now, you realize like we were a lot less divided back then. But anyway, he was so unique, and Mrs. Reagan too. They really focused on the importance of relationship building, and that's something I still talk about today. I think relationships matter more than anything in any kind of public service or even really in life. Relational aspects are huge. So, I spent every day with them for, like I said, the last 4 years of the president's life. I worked primarily out of their office first it was Century City, and then it was in Westwood. But when the president stopped coming into the office, I started going up to him at the house. And so I would go to their house, and Secret Service would let me in, and we'd sit and talk with him a lot. And then obviously as Alzheimer's was progressing, and although he wasn't out in public, he was still able to share a lot of things even in those last years, and then eventually he really wasn't. But Mrs. Reagan was quite a force, and so we ended up spending more time with Mrs. Reagan. And the president died in June of 2004. I continued to work for them until the new year of 2005, and still stayed close to Mrs. Reagan for another 10, 11 years until her passing in 2016. So I used to get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
I take that back. I used to talk about it all the time. It was kind of my big claim to fame, especially when I was first getting into politics in Troy. So it's funny when you ask the question, there's people on our city council who'll probably roll their eyes and think, oh my gosh, here he goes again. But no,
But it's an important part of your history because I think it helps. I think everyone's history kind of defines where they go and the directions they choose.
Right.
And I'm sure that played a part.
Oh, it did. And again, I talked about the relationships, but just the whole concept of, what it takes to get things done in politics, which is also the same in business, right? If you're trying to get 100% of something every time, you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to succeed. President Reagan was famous for saying, if I can get 70 or 80% of what I'm wanting, that's a win.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be afraid to take that and then try to build on the rest. Whereas it seems like today people are more focused on if it's not 100% my way, then I'm not interested. And you see what that's done. A lot of division, a lot of gridlock, a lot of lack of movement on certain things. And sometimes that's okay, but really we are a system that needs to progress at times.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's relationships, it's compromise, it's listening.
Right.
It's being a part of it. We don't all need to be shouting from rooftops. We need to be listening to each other and finding ways.
Well, and I also think it's about smiling and
Yeah.
being friendly. President Reagan was famous for
Charisma.
Well,
He was.
He was. He absolutely was. And frankly, not everybody has charisma. Not everybody can count on the natural born charisma, but everybody can smile. And I do still believe, and it sounds so stupid, but you attract a lot more flies with honey than you do with insert some random bad thing. But and the president was really good at that. And he used to famously talk about, Tip O'Neill was the Democrat Speaker of the House at the time in the 80s. And they would fight like cats and dogs during the day about policy. But 5 o'clock, they'd be in the White House sharing a drink and sharing good old Irish stories. And we're missing a key piece of that today. So I try to bring some of that to Troy City Council and as best I can. Obviously, I've got a good relationship with the chamber and the two of you. We get business done, but we also laugh and enjoy each other's company when we can, right?
Absolutely.
That's the best way to do things.
Yeah, we have a good time. We'll say that. So obviously there's a lot of great things happening in Troy. Is there any things you'd like to share about some things that are coming up? Any beautification processes? Anything going, like how I did the lead-in?
That was good.
Talk about that.
Yeah, well, obviously Troy is uniquely situated where we are in the region, right? We've got I-75 that runs right through the middle of us. We're known for our Big Beaver corridor. And so much business is concentrated right there in that 5-mile stretch of Big Beaver. And so we're actually in the process of designing a whole new refresh and re-landscape of that Big Beaver corridor, which isn't just Big Beaver, the road. It covers a little bit north and a little bit south. So,
and the diverging, is that the word?
Love the diverging diamond.
Yeah.
So we all call it the DDI. Nobody knows what we're talking about. But that new freeway interchange at I-75 and Big Beaver is called a DDI. And it's, confusing. And
it
you're
scared me
driving
the first few
opposite
times.
sides.
Yeah.
Just follow the flow and you should be okay. But if you're ever walking through there, make sure you look the right way before you cross, because we're so used to looking a certain way to cross the street. Not kidding. I've heard actually this, and I think we should do it here in Troy. But in England, in the United Kingdom, a lot of their intersections have painted things that say, "Hey, tourists, look this way before you cross," because we're so used to looking another way. Right?
I never would have thought of that.
So we look this way when because the cars are usually coming this side, but the cars in England are coming this way. So if you look this way, you're going to get hit.
Interesting.
Anyway, I think we should paint those on the DDI and Big Beaver just for some people.
Put it in the beautification.
Anyway, so we are.
Troy Chamber blue would look great.
I like that. We'll do it. A little cross promotion.
Nice.
But we're doing a whole new refresh of that corridor. Right now, we're just doing the design phase, but it's going to be landscaping, which means plants and foliage, but it also some hardscape issues as well. And we really want to make it. It's our signature corridor in the city of Troy. We want the businesses that are there to be properly represented, basically. So many people fly into Detroit, get in a cab or an Uber or rent a car and come up to Big Beaver Road and exit right there, exit 69. Mm-hmm. And we want them to come off into a beautiful gateway to the city of Troy and into this region. We learned statistically that so many people who are coming here from overseas, the Asian countries especially, or even other places in the country, the first thing they really see in Michigan when they get out of a car or a plane is Troy. Is Big Beaver.
Oh.
They're coming here specifically.
Oh, that would make sense because of all the international businesses we have out here.
So we want to have a big, some kind of gateway welcome here at that DDI, but also not just that focused little center. We want to spread it out throughout the whole region, because we know, and I know as a mayor, that obviously not everybody I represent is right in that corridor, but the whole city really thrives as a result of what kind of business we generate down there in the Big Beaver corridor. So I'm really excited about what we're doing with that. It's beautification, it's placemaking. but it's also a necessary investment into the infrastructure there. We're fortunate to have the funding for a number of reasons that are probably way too dry to get into right now. But I'm looking forward to it. We expect that design to come to us maybe later in the summer, and then we'll start the implementation in the following year, essentially. So it'll be
Right
exciting.
around the corner.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
So, you know what, Mayor Baker, you've always been an advocate for the chamber, which we are more than appreciative and for our members. Why do you feel it's so important to be part of a chamber?
Oh, I think, well, first of all, City of Troy is a platinum member of the
Yes.
chamber, which
Yes.
is fairly recent in our history. I mean, I think it's just been, maybe it's been 5 years now, but prior to that, we were just regular members, which are also great. But
We are all regular. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
and, yeah.
We love all our members,
All members we love
equally.
Every
equally,
level,
right?
every
I
level.
understand. No, I understand. But I think the chamber does a huge service to the city of Troy. When we're marketing, just why it's great to be in Troy, the chamber plays a huge role in promoting the businesses that make us thrive, right? I think if you have good communication and a good interface between the chamber and the city, you can only go up. Sky's the limit, right? And so I've really tried to embrace, the role we have, certainly with Tara, with you, Sheila. I've worked with you now for almost 7 years, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
And Tara, almost 3 years.
I know,
right?
it's crazy.
It's really interesting to see what good we can do for the community. And as you know, yes, the business community does well, I think, as a result of our interface, but it affects the whole community in the city of Troy. All of our residents benefit from what the good business that happens. We have over 6,500 businesses in the city of Troy. I don't think they're all Troy members yet, but we'll work on it.
Yet
Absolutely.
is a key word.
Absolutely. I said yet. I'm pretty smart. But, I love our business community. So much of the business community's success is the success of our city and our other residents. And as you know, it's not just Troy focused. It's not just what happens in Troy. The businesses in Troy generate and affect the economy for the region, for the state, and for the country and internationally. We have lots of businesses that are headquartered here. We're the United States headquarters or the American headquarters for Asian companies and German companies. I mean, we're a powerhouse when it comes to that. So always got to support the Troy Chamber. And I know you guys do a good job supporting us too. You're great community partners.
Appreciate that.
I feel like I'm watching a tennis match going back.
I know.
and forth
I'm like,
between the two of
you're
you.
okay. So.
I know, right? So-
So I guess this should be a good time to take a little break where we can hear from our presenting sponsor, Tryon Solutions. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
This is the time when businesses look back at the past year and plan changes for the new year ahead, especially in payroll and taxes, benefits administration, workers' compensation, and regulatory compliance. Were you happy with the way they were handled this year? Well, now's the time to reach out to Tryon Solutions, one of the nation's top professional employer organizations, to discuss a more efficient and effective way to manage HR in the year ahead. Contact Tryon today at relyontryon.com.
Welcome back to Members on the Mic with the Troy Chamber of Commerce. We are here with Troy Mayor Ethan Baker. We have a great event coming up on April 29th at the MSU Management Education Center called Your City, Your County, Your State, and You. That is a very long name, and we're aware of that. But this is an in-depth conversation on the role local government plays in business. Mayor Baker, you've been a panelist on this for years. Why do you think it's important for businesses, A, to attend the event, but also to understand the roles that government does play in every day-to-day business?
Absolutely. So, okay.
I mean, that was a multitude of levels.
A lot of questions. I'll forget half of them. But let me, first of all, I'm a strong believer that, government doesn't create jobs, right? The private sector, they're the ones that make our economy thrive.
Yeah.
They're the ones that do all the hard work that brings jobs to them, everything. But I do think government plays a role in some respects. And I talked about relationships earlier and what I learned from President Reagan. I think it's really important to continue to build those relationships. So I love doing this event to have an opportunity to be with our county executive, to be with somebody from usually MEDC. I'm the city piece, right?
Yeah.
And then all the businesses in the
Your
audience.
city.
Your city.
Mayor Baker.
Your county. You think the title's long. Try the hashtag. It's really difficult.
That's a rough one. It is
But,
a rough one.
that opportunity for us to come together, for our businesses to see how we interface, to learn, frankly, what we do, what the county does, what the state does, what we can't do, and how we'll all work together to make it happen. So the combination of the relationship aspect, the relationship building, we're fortunate that we're a few years into this event. So there is a little bit more of a comfort level that I think comes, I sit with County Executive Coulter. We've done this a few times. We kind of know our roles. Certainly coming out of COVID, I think it's also hugely important because we've seen so much, we've seen money coming from Washington that then gets filtered into Lansing or directly into Pontiac, Oakland County. So how we can make that all work together. But I think it's really important that our business community knows how much they're valued, first of all. And I think they can see that when they have all of us working together and talking about things up there, but also to really to see what that relationship looks like. I think a business can feel more stable, or we can even invite new businesses when they see that the local leadership and the government level, we're all standing together, and whether you want to say locking arms or whatever we're doing.
You're not holding hands.
It's a little bit kumbaya
little
for
too
me,
much,
but
too far.
it gets overplayed, locking arms. But it's true. If we're there to support our business community, and whether you're a business that's already here and looking to stay or needs reassurance that you want to stay, or you're somebody watching and tuning in who maybe wants to move into our region, I think it's extremely valuable and beneficial to see your local government officials standing together and saying, hey, we support you, we want you to be here, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you.
Yeah, and I think what's great about it too is that this isn't a political event.
Not at all.
This is not politics. This is truly about showcasing that we all can work together. And like you said in the very beginning, it's sometimes that divide where we don't have the agenda. The agenda is truly the success of our businesses. And I think that shines, and I know that you do a great job of making sure that you're there for them if they need it.
Anytime, anything they need, I do my best, right? Obviously, we're fortunate to have the relationship with the two of you and your team that we can interface. And there's been times, especially in COVID, where I've directed people to you and say, hey, this is a great question for the chamber, and whether you can answer specifically or whether you get help from the county. I mean, it really is a great interface, and we're very fortunate that we have those relationships now and that we can do that, and that we check the politics at the door, because we've learned politics tend to get in the way of these kind of things. But we're happy to be supportive of the business community and really celebrate that at this event.
Well, I remember one of the first ones I think you were at, we had someone say, like, if you're mad, call this party. And I had to interject afterwards, because I was like, well, that was not the direction I wanted it to go. And interjecting and saying, hey, you know what? If you're mad, call a Democrat, call a Republican, call your mom. We don't care who you call. But the reality is no, we're all together working.
Yeah, we have to. And we do. Listen, partisanship plays a role in our daily lives.
For sure.
We all sit here with opinions right now. Certainly, I mean, and I'll call it out. He knows it. County Executive Coulter and I are members of different parties, right? We have different political views on certain things, but we both have a joint love for our business community, and we know the value it brings to the region. And so we'll do everything we can to work together to improve that, and to help those businesses. So listen, partisanship exists, politics exists. If they exist in your family, sometimes even in your own house, of course they're going to exist in events at a Troy Chamber of Commerce event. But it's okay. We can work through it if we can rise above it. And I think
Absolutely.
I try really hard to do that.
It shows.
Yeah,
it's the biggest
absolutely.
comment we get is, wow, they all get along. They're all talking. They're all working together. So no, it definitely shows. You know what? In addition to that event, I hear you have another one coming up, the State of the City coming up in May. Can you tell us what we can expect from this year's State of the City address?
Absolutely. So May 18th is our the 2022 State of the City address for the City of Troy. I brought the State of the City address back to the City of Troy last year after I think a 7-year hiatus. Something I wanted to do when I got elected. COVID changed things a little bit, but now we're back. We did a great in-person event last year. I think it's important. Again, it's part of that marketing for people to see what's going on in the city. But I also think it's important to see, a unified force. All of our councils there. We've had a lot of city staff last year. It's important to show that Troy is, we've got a firm grasp on things, and there's, a lot of us working together to make things be okay, especially coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
But this year, I think it's going to be even bigger and better than last year. I'm working hard on the planning of all that. We've got some great things lined up. I'll give you a little teaser here.
Ooh.
The State of the City of Troy is very good. We're doing really well as a city. I'm not surprised. Frankly, we've got a great group of businesses and residents in the city of Troy, a great team on city staff. Obviously, our relationship with the chamber, other people who we have relationships with, help Troy succeed, really. But Troy's just like any other city. We've watched through COVID. We've experienced COVID in different ways. Like I said earlier, we're very fortunate to have our location, to have our infrastructure and the investment we have in business. So we're primed to come out of things better than other regions, I think. I love to get to talk about good things. So I'm probably the biggest cheerleader Troy's ever had as a mayor, and maybe that makes me look silly.
I would agree. I would agree.
I love to support and talk about the good things in Troy, but and there's so many of them. So I could probably give a 6 or 7 hour State of the City and talk about all the good that's happened in the last year.
Right?
No, I won't do that. I think last year's is a little long.
What, we were like 38 minutes? 40? Was it 6 hours?
I think someone
I don't
didn't
know.
her clock was off. But I've timed our State of the City address with our budget. So we approve our budget in May for the upcoming fiscal year. So right after right before the State of the City will have just approved the budget for the fiscal year 22-23. We'll talk about all the great things that are going to be in that budget, how we're changing things, what we're trying to add. And I'm not going to give away all the goods right now, but there's some good upcoming things. Like, it's going to be a good thing. We've got a good budget coming up. We've got some tough decisions to make as we look at Troy's future, because it's, you do a budget for a year. We do a 3-year budget to kind of map things out, but we really have to be looking at Troy long term, because you have to make some decisions and investments now that are going to affect the city in 5 to 10 years from now. Like, for example, our city engineer who plans out all of our road projects in the city of Troy, he's got a 5-year solid plan. So I could call him right now and say, hey, Bill, what roads are you going to be repaving in 2027? And he'll tell me, because he already pretty much knows.
Wow.
Now, things change, obviously, but for the most part, you have to do that long range forecasting, because if you wait till the next year, like, it's too late.
Yeah, it's proactive versus reactive.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to be like that. So that's one of Troy's strengths, I think, which, long predates me. I mean, the city's been doing that for a long time with their good budgeting and their long-term planning. It's just, it's good. I'm excited about the State of the City, always partnering with the Chamber. We're going to be there, and hopefully it'll be a bigger and better event than last year. And I think last year's was pretty good.
I think last year's was great, but I agree. I think this year's going to be even better.
I think more good news.
Yeah.
We love good news.
Yeah.
Right? And doesn't it make your jobs easier when we've got good news coming out of City Hall?
Absolutely.
Positivity is not a bad thing, and such good leaders and such good team. I will say the City of Troy team is just fantastic. I mean, everyone seems to step up, and it's just, it reflects in our community.
Oh, that's good to hear. I'll, of course, share that
Please
with everybody.
relay that.
I will relay that.
But they will
to
be all
I was
listening
gonna
at
say
the
they'll be
podcast
listening.
anyway.
The whole city's going to be watching and listening, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's what you
they'll
promised
tune out
me.
after Reagan. So, like you said.
Well,
so
half the city will.
Half the city. Okay.
Well, that's now transitioning us into some fun good news for our Did You Know segment. So, Tara.
Oh, I wonder what great thing we're going to be learning about in our Did You Know section. Does it happen to involve giant scissors?
It just may, because as we've been talking about, the city of Troy has had many good things happening. We've had a lot of new businesses come to the area. We've had a lot of businesses celebrate milestones. And if you didn't know, you can invite the Troy Chamber, mayor, and team to do a special ribbon cutting for your company's grand opening festivities, as I said, or a celebration, or just to have some fun.
Even like those anniversaries. I
Yeah.
always get excited for those milestone anniversaries of just saying, hey, it's okay to come back and re-celebrate.
Well, and we also have to look at during the time that you may have been closed for COVID and had some sort of celebration. Let's do it now. We're ready. We got the scissors. We have the ribbon. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
We'll even post it on our Facebook page. We'll do a Facebook Live so those that near and dear can see it and watch it if they can't be in attendance. And to learn more about that, just go to troychamber.com and check out our ribbon cutting section.
Perfect. Thanks, Sheila. And that's good to know. And now you know, too. Oh, I did that. Did you see that? You know, too. It was nice.
For those of you listening, you didn't see the hand gesture, but it was
yeah,
very good. If you watch
thank
the
you,
video,
Mayor
you'll
Baker.
see it. But,
Good point. I keep forgetting that part.
Right?
So obviously, Ethan, you and we've worked together for almost 2 years now. I do call you a friend. I hope you do the same. And if not, you have no choice that I'm still your friend. But I actually spend a lot of time picking your brain on things. And I value this relationship a great deal. And one of the great things is that I like to pick your brain on how we can showcase our businesses more. What can we do to better help our businesses? And it's always great to get your feedback. And one of the feedback that we came up with together was, how can we focus on Troy? And we thought, hey, let's do a Focus Troy business tour. So as you brought this up to this, your brainchild, I guess, why don't you tell us a little bit about Focus Troy?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, as I hear you talk about the title, maybe it's not as innovative as I thought.
I know, right?
we want to focus on Troy. I know, we'll call it Focus Troy.
Simple,
simplistic.
but
I think it makes the point. So absolutely, right? We celebrate new businesses coming in with ribbon cuttings as much as we can, or some, people celebrating milestones. But, there's a lot of businesses here that have been here for a long time or invested a lot in our city. And, they haven't had a celebration, or they haven't had any focus.
Or it's been a
long
time since people
right?
paid attention.
And, as we were coming out of COVID, or we're in COVID, we're coming out of COVID, I don't know what you want to say, but when we talked about it, and it was like, what's something we can do, like you said, to really highlight that. And also, from my perspective, to get kind of a feel from the employees and from the ownership or the management of the business, and see what their feedback was for the city, or what they're experiencing. And then we said, okay, well, let's package this together, and we can share it with the community at large. And, it's a great way to celebrate certain industries and businesses. And it's also a great learning tool for me as the mayor. And, So we're doing this. We're touring businesses as
Yeah.
we speak, not literally as we speak, but
Literally, I mean, not speaking.
in our minds, we're
Correct,
touring them.
yes.
But no, but we do that. We go and we meet with the team at the business, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and we really are running the gamut of what types of businesses we're visiting, and we're hearing some amazing things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned some fascinating facts about how they've adapted to COVID, how they were already doing things that are helping them in COVID that they didn't know were going to happen, but
Yeah.
they made some changes just prior to COVID as if they had a crystal ball, essentially, and how it's given them an advantage. We're learning about what employees are looking for in businesses and work, and how people are coming back to work in the COVID era, and what's important to these business owners to do. So it's really been a great look so far of what all that is, and we're rolling them out. We're out to
do
really
our big
keep
launch.
them going. We're launching them, and we've got some in the can already, as I like to say. And then we'll continue to tour these businesses and share the good news and the interesting facts throughout the community.
But I think what's interesting about it is that I think you and I originally looked at this as how we showcase our businesses. But what it turned out to be is, like you mentioned, we're spending time and we're listening. So it's teaching us both on how we can better serve, for our sake, how we can better serve our members, but for your sake, how you can better serve, obviously, the businesses in Troy. And I think that's a huge takeaway we got out of that.
And I think, here it's like it's making both of us do our jobs better.
Yeah.
Right. And we didn't realize that was going to be a benefit takeaway from it. But here we are. And I've learned something really impactful from each place we visited so far. And I'm so grateful for the businesses that have opened their doors. And I know if a business wants to do Focus Troy, Tara, how would they potentially get on our list?
Wow, I'm not going to do the weird finger pointing this time.
I'm going to throw it over to you.
Wow. So obviously you can reach out to the Troy Chamber. So go to troychamber.com, or feel free to even email me directly at tara@troychamber.com. I think the reality of it is no business size matters. It could truly be a business of a one-person mom and pop shop to a giant corporation. We really just want to get to know and understand you better and find better ways to serve you. And I think focusing on Troy, I like that.
So on message. Always.
Wow,
That's
I got
good.
that. The focus that we have on Troy has been really great, and I think it is, like you said, I feel like we're getting more out of it.
I know. I mean, I feel
selfish,
a little
right?
guilty
A little
about
guilty,
it, but no,
selfish.
it's great. And I know Sheila's she's been to a couple of, or at least one that I can remember, and she's there. It's great. I mean, it's a good experience, and you talked about that. It can be a business of one, or it can be a business of 500. We've done that, and in between. And that really highlights what Troy's business climate is, right? We have so many businesses. Some of them are mom and pop type shops. Some of them are major global headquarters, right?
Yeah.
So we do get to see all of that, and all have similarities and all have great differences too. So it's great to be able to get all that
And
information.
all play their part in the community of Troy. So we couldn't do it with we couldn't do it without the small mom and pops, and we couldn't do it without the large industries as well. So yeah.
That's so good. You got it.
Yeah, I love Troy.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Right.
Mayor Baker, thank you so much for all you do for us, for the city of Troy. Is there anything you want to leave us with? Any nugget of something that someone can take away today after listening to this podcast?
It's a lot of pressure. Well, I'm hoping they're taking away all of these nuggets that we've just shared.
So many.
Yeah, honestly, I am so thankful and grateful for the relationship the city of Troy has with the Troy Chamber of Commerce. I mean, I think if you're a business in Troy and you're not a Troy Chamber member, you should definitely consider it. I know there's memberships for everybody, but really, Sheila, I know you've done a lot of the intake's not the right word, but you've brought a lot of businesses into the chamber specifically, and I know that you spend a lot of time trying to address their specific needs and how they can benefit from the chamber. And not everyone's the same, right? Everybody's got different needs.
So many different needs.
But
yes,
I love our relationship. Again, our city of Troy thrives as a result of our business community, and I know that the Troy Chamber of Commerce does a huge part to make that business community thrive. So I love that we have this great partnership and team. Relationships matter. I'll say it. I said it. Last year's theme of the State of the City was relationships.
Nice.
So relationships. But really, I'm thankful for you. I think we have a great city in the city of Troy, and I know we'll continue to do well, and I look forward to leading the city through as much as I can.
Absolutely.
for sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. This concludes our Members on the Mic today, presented by Tryon Solutions. A special thanks to the Honorable Mayor, Ethan Baker. Obviously, always wonderful to have you be a part of this.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I love
We're happy that
I
you
love
are.
this.
Yes.
And I also love how you call me Ethan half the time or Mayor the other time.
I know,
No one can ever decide, right?
It's hard.
The value of relationships and friendships is that you feel more comfortable saying Ethan, and which, by the way, is totally fine with me. But,
We rotate it though. I
I
did
know.
throw Mayor
It
in.
throws
and
me
then
off. I'm
We
like,
had
who's
a
she
couple
talking to now?
honorables in there.
Honorables.
too.
We threw that. Yeah.
I was looking for the red carpet and the trumpets upon my arrival, but they weren't here. so.
Epic fail.
Oh, we forgot those again.
Yeah, no. Public service doesn't get you that.
Yes,
So.
nor should it.
Nor
frankly,
should it.
but-
So, well, thank you all so much, guys. For more information on joining the Chamber or even attending some of these great events that we just mentioned now, please go to trichamber.com. That's all we have for you today. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day. Bye now.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.